you keep watch, even for 1 hour? He wasn't angry. There was no bitterness, just a deep, deep disappointment, and it hurt. It was a calm, almost balmy evening, just the faintest rustle of wind in the olive groves, the calm before the storm. I remember another calm before another storm. At the end of a tiring day crossing the sea, Jesus asleep in the stern. We'd sailed through storms before, but things always seem worse when you're tired. And when this storm broke, we were afraid. Why are you such cowards? How little faith you have! There was disappointment then, and it hurt. How are we to know? How could anyone have known that even the wind and the waves would obey him? Oh, we were slow, so slow, until Peter, good old Peter, blundered into the truth. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And from that moment, we began to understand. We were only young, little more than children, really. And as we followed him on the road, we argued among ourselves about who was the greatest. But he knew what we were saying. If any of you wants to be first into my kingdom, he must be very last and servant of all. He was disappointed again, and it hurt. We come to depend on him, to see him as someone special, the Messiah, the Son of God. The wind and the waves obeyed him. He healed the sick, raised the dead. We'd come to believe there was nothing he couldn't do. Then, for the first time since we'd met him, here in this garden he knew so well, surrounded by friends, he was alone and afraid. He needed us, not because of anything we could do, but because in that moment, the flame burning within him, the strength that kept him going, had ebbed away. He was a man, flesh and blood, with all our human weaknesses. He needed our love, our support, and we had fallen asleep. Oh, we'd disappointed him many times before, and every time it hurt. But it had been our slowness, our foolishness, our pride that had disappointed. The only person we'd let down was ourselves. We couldn't let him down because he hadn't needed us then. And through it all, he loved us. Time and time again, when we fell, he picked us up, dusted us down, and set us on our feet. But this time, it was different. In his hour of need, we were tested and found wanting. And it hurt.
I knew I had to do it. This wasn't a sudden decision, no. I realised there was no alternative. But I held back, waiting and hoping. There were times when I questioned why I even got involved in the first place, why I threw in my lot with this man and the rabble that followed him, but the people needed a leader. I saw the way he could conduct a crowd. When things got a little unorganised, that's when I came in. Any doubts disappeared as soon as I met him. I'd heard people speak about God's kingdom, but he lived and breathed it, made me believe that by force of his presence alone, that kingdom would be made real. We travelled from village to village, and everywhere we went, crowds followed. An army ready to rise up at any time and in any manner of his choosing. He was making enemies too, and I realised that that window was closing. If he didn't move soon, it would be too late, and I thought he knew that. His preaching took on a more urgent tone. He began preparing the people, speaking about coming days when nation would rise up against nation, and when God's kingdom would come in all its glory. So he went to Jerusalem, and there was tension in the air. The people were restless. Passover had reminded them that they had been saved before. The fiery red tunics of Pilate's centurions whipped them up into frenzy of passionate hatred. The city was a tinderbox, ready to explode. We entered the city. Jesus riding in front, crowds lined the streets and hailed him as a king. We marched to the temple, and to the onlookers' delight, he threw out the moneylenders and the pigeon sellers, and in his anger he shouted, "Scripture says my house shall be a house of prayer. You have turned it into a bandit's den. Now," I thought, "now call the people to your side and you will win." But he slipped away. He slipped away and the moment was gone. That's when I knew there was only one thing to do. He knew, of course, one of you is going to betray me. The words cut me like a knife. How could I betray him when I'd followed him for so long? Is it I, Lord? Didn't need to ask, but I did. And he looked at me. And as he looked, I knew. Knew that it was no good. Knew he wasn't going to fight. But I knew I had to do it. There was no alternative because he had decided. Because he had decided he was going to die. And that I was part of that plan. I had to do it. Not because I had decided, but because he chose it.
It happened so quickly. In Passover week, when everyone's busy and passions are high. Unintended consequences flow from decisions made in haste. And I fear we may be living with the repercussions from this for some time to come. It's 2 or 3 years now since we first started hearing about a young man in Galilee, travelling the country, teaching, preaching, gathering crowds. There were those among the Pharisees who relished a debate, challenged his teaching, hoping to find fault. But whenever they argued, he came off best. So they accused him of false teaching and breaking the law, said he should be stopped before he went too far. But others counselled caution. He's a popular man. There'll be trouble in store if we anger the crowds. So we waited and watched to see what would happen. It all came to a head at the start of the week when he rode into town on the back of a donkey and word got around that the Messiah had arrived. Nothing new in rumours like that. Claims of the Messiah have come and they've gone. In other times we could have stayed our hand. Within a few weeks it would all have been forgotten. But our hands were tied with the Romans in town, on heightened alert, looking for trouble. I hate playing politics. I'm a man of God. I wanted to do everything properly, in accordance with the law. But start to compromise, and there's a slippery slope. The ball started rolling, and nothing could stop it. We arrested him at night. Such a shabby, underhand act. But to tell the truth, we were afraid of the crowds. There wasn't time for a normal trial, so we held one that night, even though it was against the law. And because we couldn't find a charge that would stick, I asked him to his face if he was the Messiah. He didn't deny it, and technically, that's blasphemy. And the penalty for blasphemy is death. I looked at the man standing before me. His steady eye met my gaze, And what I saw in that moment has haunted me ever since. Not the terror of a man about to die, nor the anger of one unfairly condemned. No. What I saw in his eyes was pity and sorrow and love.
They're in that building over there. Well, that's all I know. I've been trying to find out what's going on, but one man said there was a kind of trial. Another said that's nonsense. You can't have a trial in the middle of the night. There wasn't time to think. It all happened so quickly. One minute he was praying in the garden, next he was arrested, and after that, it was all a blur. Don't ask me how, but somehow I ended up here in this courtyard. What was that? Me? No, never met the man. See, no point in giving myself away just yet. Time for a strategic retreat. I'll wait in the gateway. It's darker here. Oh, I know what they say about me. Peter, solid, dependable, fiercely loyal, but when it comes to thinking, 3 sheets to the wind. Well, I can be hasty, I'll admit that. Act first, think later, that's always been my way. Did it again tonight in the garden. Pulled out my knife, slashed a guard's ear, but that doesn't mean I can't think. That's why I'm here now, biding my time, watching, waiting. See, it's always been my job to protect him. When the crowds pressed in, I held them back. Sometimes being my size is an advantage. Must admit, tonight I wish I was smaller. Me? You must be joking. No, you got the wrong man. I'm telling you, I don't know him. Keep moving, that's the way. If I can only get near, let him know where I am. Then when he gives the word... See, I've been listening to what people are saying, and I think they're all wrong. They say he's going to die, but he can't die. Wouldn't make sense. No, he's Messiah. I was the first to see that. And what use is a dead Messiah? No. I don't know how, but he'll find a way. And when he does, I'll be there. See, he gave me a new name. Peter. Foundation stone of his kingdom. What's that? My accent? Just leave it, all right? I don't know him. A rock, he called me. What sort of a rock am I? Nothing but a contemptible wreck cowering in the corner, useless, petrified. I don't have to admit it. None of the others were here. They didn't see. I could tell them... Lord. I could tell them anything. Make myself the hero of the hour. But I know. And he knows.